the 1920 Olympics in Antwerp, the Italian team were a dishevelled bunch. They managed a respectable 7th place to finish in the medals table, but turned up in unmatching tracksuits and singing the socialist anthem, the Red Flag. By the 1932 Games in Los Angeles, though, they were marching into the opening ceremony wearing black shirts and singing Giovinezza, the official hymn of the Italian Fascist Party. You see, for Benito Mussolini, sporting success was central to the projection of Fascist Italy as a vigorous modern nation. He understood that sport was politics. Mussolini had seized power in 1922 and understood the importance of image. Like many dictators, though, he distrusted football. He preferred motorsports, with their roaring sense of industry and progress, or individual sports such as cycling and tennis. Football was too complicated and unpredictable, but he also realised how popular it was and how useful it could be for nation building in a country that had only become unified in 1861. Up until the 1920s, Italian football had been chaotic and fragmented. Smaller teams had fought against the attempts to create a national championship and the onset of professionalism, while the sport's increasing popularity had led to intense disputes regarding refereeing. The most famous of these was at the 1924-25 Northern League final, where Genoa thought they'd won a playoff 2-1. Only to discover that Bologna, with the backing of a boisterous crowd, including the leader of the local fascist party, Leandro Arpenati, had been awarded a goal for an effort that the referee had initially deemed not to have crossed the line. Matters came to a head in March 1926 when Torino protested after being denied a goal in the Northern League game away to Casale. They appealed, and after 2.5 months, the league ruled in their favour, ordering a rematch on the grounds that the referee, Guido Sanguinetti, had lacked the, quote, perfect serenity of spirit necessary in a match official. The referee's body effectively went on strike in protest. Now, with the authorities losing control, the clubs struggling financially, and seemingly nobody having the administrative will to implement the proposals for a national league, a conference was called in the Tuscan resort of Viareggio in the summer of 1926. There, senior figures within the game and journalists drew up the Carta Viareggio, which would shape the course of Italian football for decades. Southern teams were admitted to the much stronger Northern League, paving the way for the coming of professionalism and the advent of Serie A in 1929. Foreign players, meanwhile, were banned from 1927 to try to raise the level of Italian football and stimulate the growth of an Italian football culture, although foreign coaches remained and clubs soon began signing South Americans of Italian descent who became known as Oriundi, or the returners. At the same time, the state began investing in stadiums, while local municipalities started to demand the merger of local sides to create one club to represent the city in the new competition. Fiorentina, for instance, was the result of a merger between CS Firenze and PG Libertas in 1926, and Roma was a merger of 3 clubs a year later. The level of Italian football improved rapidly. Italy took bronze at the Olympics in 1928, and although they didn't compete at the inaugural World Cup in 1930, Bologna won the Mitropa Cup, a competition for Central European sides, in 1932 and 1934. And this was all extremely positive for Mussolini. As the fascist newspaper Il Literale put it, sporting success was a demonstration of clear signs of racial superiority that are destined to reflect in many fields outside of sport. And the World Cup became a target, an indication of the prestige it had developed almost immediately, and how better to give Italy the best opportunity to win it than to host it. So, in 1932, despite the misgivings of Jules Rimet, the FIFA president, Italy defeated Sweden in the bidding to stage the 1934 World Cup. Now, this was a great opportunity to show off Italy's development as a nation. Travel was subsidized, and match commentary broadcast by radio to 12 of the competing nations. A range of merchandise was created, designed to show off Italian craftsmanship. The official poster, depicting a thrusting figure in an Italy shirt, was designed by the futurist artist Filippo Marinetti. Even the match tickets were printed on high-quality paper. And on everything was printed the fascists, the symbol of the party. But the greatest symbol of Mussolini's hijacking of the World Cup was his introduction of the Coppa del Duce, 6 times taller than the Jules Rimet trophy, as a supplementary prize for the winner. But the next thing, of course, was to win it. And Italy did do that, although not without controversy. Their coach, Vittorio Pozzo, was an Anglophile and had fallen in love with the game while working in the wool trade near Bradford. A gifted linguist, talented organizer, and adept man manager, he whipped up patriotic fervor with songs and visits to military graveyards, but he was no fascist. He was, though, appointed as the national coach by Arpinati, the fascist leader from Bologna who had risen to become the head of the National Football Federation. And Pozzo can hardly have been ignorant of the way that Mussolini's regime exploited his team's success. His Italy were physical and backed by passionate crowds, including Mussolini himself. Spain in the quarter-final and Austria in the semi-final both suggested referees had been influenced against them, while the referee for the final, the Swede Ivan Eklund, who'd also overseen the semi, subsequently admitted that he should have sent off Italy's centre-half Luis Monti, an oriundo from Argentina who'd been on the losing side in the 1930 final. As it was, Monti stayed on, and Italy beat Czechoslovakia 2-1 in extra time, allowing Mussolini to present them with the trophy that he designed. And whatever the doubts about some of their methods, Italy were an extremely good side, as they proved by winning the World Cup again 4 years later in France. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Daniel Taylor, Ollie Kay, Amy Lawrence and James Horncastle. With the latest transfer news and insight on every Premier League football story that matters, theathletic.com puts you inside football.